Hello and welcome to the Community Partner Showcase. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jarrett Cox with HCEC-TV, and we have a fantastic show to spotlight another great nonprofit that is doing fantastic work in the community. I'm joined by Shania Seckles, who is the court advocate for victims of domestic violence for Spring Haven. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this is such a unique job that you have. Can you talk a little bit about your background and how you found your way to Spring Haven?
Well, my background actually, I have a degree in broadcast news from Western Kentucky University, but my spouse is retired from the military, so therefore I've been around the world with him, and I couldn't really do that job being a military spouse. So I compensated by becoming a counselor. I've been a substance abuse counselor. I've been a test administrator for the military. And all those things allowed me to be able to speak and do presentations to people, not so much, of course not in a TV studio, but in person. So that's how I continued to hone my skills. And I left the military scene when my husband retired. And so there was an ad for a victims advocate for, at that point, it was Lincoln Trail Domestic Violence Program. And I thought, well, I can do that. And so I applied and I got the job. And I'm so glad I did. That was the first civilian job that I'd really ever had because everything else was working for the military. And so just being the person that I am, I found that I did a really good job being that temporary voice for a person that has lost their voice due to domestic violence. So I'm going into my 23rd year.
23 years, and that is just so impressive, and it's such great work, and I'm so glad that there's somebody with a strong voice like yours, because the people that you advocate for, sometimes I would imagine, it's been so long since they've used their voice that it really takes them a while to kind of rediscover who they are.
It really does. And a victim of domestic violence tries to leave their situation between 7 and 12 times. So that is a lot of times of leaving and then being coerced into coming back from their alleged perpetrator. And after every episode of trying to leave, their voice does become weaker and weaker and weaker until it is temporarily silenced when they don't go back into the situation anymore, and then they reach out for help with the domestic violence situation.
So can you talk a little bit about the history of Spring Haven and what they have to offer?
Okay. Spring Haven hasn't always been Spring Haven. We did a name change around 2005 because it used to be Lincoln Trail Domestic Violence Program, and it was started in a small trailer, I was told, off the square here in Elizabethtown by the late Dot Hanson, and she just wanted to be able to help people that were in an abusive situation to get out of their situation and have temporary lodging until they were able to, get themselves together where they could move out on their own. And so thus hence became Spring Haven Domestic Violence Program around 2005. So our mission is to educate our community on domestic violence, make them aware that domestic violence is in our community. It is in all communities. And to also help victims of domestic violence, whether it be shelter. We have a shelter at Spring Haven that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have certified family advocates there at Spring Haven. When people come to Spring Haven, you have to be involved in an intimate partner relationship. We're not a homeless shelter. We're strictly domestic violence for victims of domestic violence and their children. And so we're able to bring people to safety. We're able to get them counseling and just help with the day-to-day living things. A lot of victims have not been allowed to participate in day-to-day living because they are being controlled by their alleged perpetrator. So some people have to learn how to relive life again and be in their own person.
And in a situation like that, I would imagine that there's some of the skills that, we would take for granted that they have to relearn.
Yes, yes. I mean, things as simple as, well, simple to us, deciding what you want to eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So many people are told what they're going to eat or what they're not allowed to eat.
Or even if they can eat.
Exactly, exactly. And so, sometimes people are like, well, do you mind if I have that? And I'm like, no, that's fine. It's in there for you. Take as much as you like until you get full or whatever the case may be. And, disciplining their children, they have not been able to tell them to stop, quit, no. And so they just have to learn sometimes to be that parent to guide their children. And it is a learning experience for victims of domestic violence in every avenue of life. A lot of victims have not been in control of the finances in their home. Sometimes they are made to work, but then they have to come in and give their paycheck to their alleged perpetrator. So they're not sure how to figure out their budget for the month. We have budgeting people come in to help with that, to open bank accounts, savings and checking. We also do interviewing on request. If someone, wants to learn interviewing skills, then we can do that. We help them complete their resumes. So when you come to Spring Haven, it's just not like we're just handing out everything. It's a learning and teaching experience. So the victims that come there, that leave out of our doors as survivors, they have been taught a lot of things, but they have got to want to learn these things as well.
And that's such an important thing because, as humans, we grow every single day. And being a survivor of domestic violence, you almost have to go through that whole process again and relearn things that you may have forgotten or may not have gotten the chance to learn.
That is true, but when you come to Spring Haven, a lot of times, I wish we could find another word for shelter. Because when a lot of people think of shelter, they think of something cold and musky and dingy and not well kept. Well, that's so far from the truth for Spring Haven. We are a home away from home. We're your temporary home. Anything that you can imagine that you have in your house, we have in ours. We just got through with the renovation of our kitchen and dining area, and it's simply beautiful. I would like to have it at my house, honestly. They did a really good job with, the color scheme and just making it warm and inviting for the ladies and their children. And I say ladies and children because 85% of all victims of domestic violence are women. And most women do have children, and they have them in tow when they come to Spring Haven. Now, men are victims as well, but that number is a little skewed. So right now, I think the last statistic that I looked at, it was like 25% of all men have been victimized at one point in their life with domestic violence, but men are less likely to report due to what society says a man should look like, be like, act like.
Absolutely, and that's something for the male survivors. It's important to know that they're out there, and they may need that extra nudge.
Right.
It's also important to remember people in LGBTQ relationships.
Oh, yes, most definitely. But see, here's the thing that some people don't realize about domestic violence. Domestic violence does not discriminate. So therefore, it doesn't matter about your race, your religion, your sexual orientation. Domestic violence doesn't care about that. Because anybody that's involved in an intimate partner relationship could be a victim of domestic violence, whether it's male on male, female on female, male, female, it doesn't matter. If you're in that partnership, then you could possibly be a victim of domestic violence because it's not discriminatory.
And that is so true. And one of the things that I think is important when you talk about this kind of thing is suicide. And you want to make sure that people, if they feel suicide, if they're having suicidal ideations, you want them to know that there is a place that will help them with anything that they need.
Like I said before, we are strictly a domestic violence
Right.
program, but you know, we receive people for our services from all walks of life. So therefore, you can be a victim of domestic violence and you could be having suicidal ideations. So that's where our community partners come into play.
Right.
That we're able to call CommuniCare or the Crisis Stabilization Unit or call to Baptist Health Hardin and speak to the social workers there to possibly get someone into Life Springs. So we're able to reach out because the community partners here in Hardin County, to me, are more like a family where you can just call them up. I mean, you work with these people every day. I've been with Springhaven for almost 23 years, so I'm a relic there. So I know lots of people, and I know lots of people to reach out to. So I share that information with my coworkers because if I know information and I'm able to help them help someone else, that is a team effort, and that's what we're about at Springhaven. We are a team, and we're a team with the people in our communities.
And recovery is really a team effort because
Yes.
nobody can do it by themselves.
No, they cannot. No, they cannot. And getting a person, now the victim has to play a part in this as well, but getting a victim to a survivor is a wonderful thing because a lot of people that are victims do not believe that they could possibly do that. This month is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I was out yesterday afternoon putting some signs around the old courthouse, and I hear someone going, Miss Shona, Miss Shona, and I'm thinking, who is screaming my name around this circle? And it was one of our former clients from like 3 years ago. She still recognized me, and she stopped in an illegal parking space, and she was telling me about her life since the last time that I saw her, that she's working, she's now married to a wonderful man, her kids are doing well, and she is going to school because she wants to be an advocate for someone else. So when I hear stories like that, you know, every day we don't hear stories like that. And because victims go back into their situations between 7 and 12 times, sometimes it's a letdown for your human side when you know that you've worked so hard and worked with this individual and they decide to go back into that situation that brought them into our life in the first place. But the only thing that I can do, and I've learned this over time, is I have to support them and meet them where they're at. And safety plan with them, let them know that if anything else happens, and in my mind, I think, well, it probably will, I hope not, but maybe we're just on that 8th time of leaving, so I don't know, that you can always give us a call here at Springhaven, and we will try to help you as much as we possibly can.
And talking about that 7 to 8 times that people...
7 to 12.
Oh, 7 to 12, I'm sorry, 7 to 12 times that people leave. You never know what time will be that time. So the fact that you're there and you've got all these connections within the community to help support, and it takes a village, really.
It really does. It really does. And sometimes we have people call us, and yes, I'm big on that we are a domestic violence shelter to help victims of domestic violence, but not every call that we get on our help and information line is an actual domestic violence victim. Sometimes it's a homeless person. Sometimes it's a parent that has an out-of-control child and they just need to talk to someone. So we do that. We do try to help people as much as we possibly can and set them in the right direction. So it's not that phone call. It's not Springhaven Help and Information may I help you. Well, I'm not in a domestic. Well, if you're not in a domestic situation, I can't talk to you. It's not that, because you never know where that person is at in their mind and what they might be contemplating to do. So when they call, we have to fill it all the way out. And if we can be of assistance to them, then we do try.
And it's one of those things where you hate that there's a need for it, but I am so glad that there is someone doing that work in the community, because it can really be the difference in someone's life.
Well, it is, and we service the Lincoln Trail Ad District, so there's 4 more of me. So we have victims advocates in all of the 8 counties, and so we service Nelson, Washington, Marion, Hardin, Grayson, Meade, LaRue, and Breckinridge counties. And all of our services are free. So when people come to the shelter, they're like, well, how much do I owe you? You don't owe us anything. Our payment is that you got out of your situation and you turned to us for help. That is payment enough. And in our outreach counties, we provide advocacy and support in district and family courts for emergency protective orders and domestic violence orders, so that people are not in court by themselves. Some people can afford attorneys, most cannot. So we're there for advocacy and support during that time. So Spring Haven, we do an array of things. We have a child advocate who is wonderful. We have a children's area that has more toys probably than Santa Claus. And our kids, our babies, sometimes in my 22 and a half years, I have seen babies come there that were 2 weeks old, and I've seen 18-year-olds be there as far as children are concerned. And we have no limit of how long you can stay. Yes, it is temporary, but each person's situation is different. Some people come and they stay 5 minutes. Some people come, the longest stay that I have witnessed was 18 months. And that was because that person had to get things settled with their green card and, all those kinds of things. But we were there to help them every step of the way. So maybe I'm prejudiced, but I really, really feel that we do a really good job when it comes to helping victims and their families of domestic violence.
And I just love that the show of support from the community for the work that you do. I hear about Spring Haven a lot, as far as this is one of the great groups that no matter what your situation is, if you call them, they will do their best to help you or to connect you with who can.
We do that. Whoever said that told the truth. Thank you. But we couldn't do it without our communities and our community partners. Our communities are wonderful to us as far as donations, and sometimes we get calls and people ask, can they drop off gas cards? Can they drop off Walmart cards? During Christmas, it is just crazy how this community takes care of the victims and children of domestic violence. It is amazing, the giving heart here in Hardin County.
If somebody is hearing this and they want to be one of those people that support Spring Haven in whatever way that they can, who do they need to contact?
They need to contact our business office and ask for our facilities manager. Her name is Brittany, and the phone number is 270-765-4057. So if you want to donate, and she will be able to tell you, how you can get the things to us, what we're in need of currently, what we can, what we cannot take. So Brittany is really, really good at that. So they just need to give her a call.
Speaking of the community supporting Spring Haven, there's quite a few events that are coming up that the community can come out and show their support for you. Can you talk a little bit about some of those events?
Well, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is our Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month since 1981. And this year the theme is Everybody Knows One. I think I said it right. Everyone Knows Someone is the campaign for the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So for Spring Haven, we have a lot of events going on in each county. We have proclamations being made in some counties. We're speaking to the Rotary clubs, the Kiwanis clubs, the clubs for kids in the area schools. We have signs out all over. I put signs out yesterday in front of the new and old courthouse. I'm going to go to the police department and put some out there. So just for domestic violence awareness. So on October the 5th, we're having Chalk the Walk. So what that is, we're asking people, we've dropped off a lot of chalk. If you need some chalk, you can call us. But to show off their creativity by writing messages or drawing pictures in support of empowerment for victims of domestic violence. And then send it to take a picture of it if you would, and send it to our Facebook page. So we're going to have something every Thursday. And then on the 12th, it's Throw Shade Against Domestic Violence. And that is wearing those Prada shades and taking your picture and sending it to us on Facebook so that we can put it out there. On the 19th of October is Wear Purple Day, where you wear any shade of purple, and there again, take your picture, tag us on your Facebook, or send it straight to our Facebook. And then on the 31st of October will be Light Up the Night, and that shows support for victims of domestic violence by lighting up your house purple. And this coming Saturday, I think it's called the John Henry Building on Ring Road, the Zonta Club is sponsoring a domestic violence walk, and they have been doing that ever since I have been at Spring Haven. So if anyone would like to come and join us on Saturday morning at 10 to walk in solidarity for victims and survivors of domestic violence, we would love to have you.
And that is Saturday the 6th, correct?
Right, the 7th.
7th.
Mm-hmm.
I can't count today.
Yes.
Saturday.
And it starts at 10 a.m.
Okay. So as we talk about domestic violence and the work that you all do on a local level, there's also a national push to kind of get people to understand and see the signs of domestic violence.
Yes. Domestic violence is, it's silent.
Mm-hmm.
It normally happens within the family, the mother, father, boyfriend, girlfriend, how that dynamic is. And the victim a lot of times is so ashamed that they don't want anybody to know. So there are excuses for the black eye. There's excuses for the bruises. Mm-hmm. But it's never until they just have gotten fed up about what is truly happening. So, we as family members, we as co-workers, we can ask those questions. What happened to your eye? But if they say that they ran in to the door facing, who am I to say that did not happen? But my thing is always this. If they're not ready to talk about it, then we can't make them talk about it. But what we can do as people on the outside looking in, so to speak, is just to keep on letting that victim know that you have their back, that you're here for them if they need to talk or if they need anything. And just reiterate that with them. And slowly but surely, they normally come around when they feel like that they're not being judged.
Mm-hmm. And those small acts of kindness are really something, it may be something small, a small gesture that people may not think a whole lot of. But to somebody in that situation, that may have made their entire week. That's something that they will remember. Mm-hmm.
And that you actually notice. And I mean, we all know the hustle and bustle of life, taking care of your own family, working, just, I find myself being a week ahead of myself, and I haven't even gotten there yet, but I know all the things that I need to do. So a lot of times it's not that people don't care, but they just miss it because of everything that is going on in their lives. So you really have got to, to pay attention. And my thing is, if your gut says that there's something wrong, then there's probably something wrong. And you can just keep, chomping at the bit with that individual, even when there's not anything going on. I would say that a victim would be more apt to discuss what has happened than what is actually going on. But, you know, when people come to work and look like they've been sleeping in their car, their mind is not on what they're doing, you say, hello, how are you? And they burst into tears. There is something with that. There is something with that. And, you know, not all the time is it domestic violence, but there's a good possibility that it is. Something is actually going on with that individual.
And it's always important, no matter what the cause may be, to be supportive and to reach out and give that simple act of kindness.
Yes.
Because that could be the difference.
It could be. It could be the difference in what happens with that person or to that person in the very near future, like that afternoon type thing.
As we're wrapping up, if someone is watching this and they have that gut feeling, if they know that they need to reach out to someone at Springhaven, how can they do that?
Well, we have a help and information line that is open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It is staffed by family advocates that are certified in their positions and really know how to handle a situation. All of us do. And so when you call, there's no judging. There's not anything. We are there to listen to you and to help you try to decide. We can't make the decision for you, but try to help you decide how you want to progress in this situation or out of this situation. So you can give us a call locally at 270-769-1234. Or if you would like to use our toll-free number, that's 1-800-767-5838. And I'll give those numbers again. Locally, that number is 270-769-1234. And the toll-free number is 800-767-5838. So if you are in a domestic situation and you want to get more information about Springhaven, how we can help you, if you're in any of the counties that I named earlier, right here in Hardin County, please give us a call. You won't be sorry that you did.
Doing just amazing work.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about it. And once again, if somebody wants to support you, because with the services that you offer, I mean, there are things that you need that the community would love to help you with. Can you tell again how they can contact?
If you would like to donate to Springhaven in any type of way, if you will call our business office between 8:30 and 4:30 Monday through Friday, that number is 270-765-4057. We would surely appreciate it.
And we really appreciate you coming
Well,
on.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a very important, especially this month, but really any month, because it can happen at any time to anyone.
Exactly.
Sonia, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for joining us here at HCEC-TV. Remember to be supportive of not only this great organization, but the people in your community, because you never know what that small act of kindness can do. For HCEC-TV, I'm Jarrett Cox, and I'll catch you down the road.